Hi, everybody. Meteorologist Joe Cioffi here. Weather in 5 days in 5 minutes, as we have a warm and humid Sunday for eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England. And for that matter, areas to the north and south are going to experience the same thing. We'll have another run for temperatures in the upper 70s to around 80. And as is typical this time of year, when you have a high offshore and a southerly flow, there is low level moisture involved. So you start the day out with low clouds and some patchy fog, and then you wind up going to some sunshine. Just takes a while for it to get going. And as we look to the south, temperatures also in the upper 70s to around 80 degrees or so down into Virginia and North Carolina. And moving northward, we're seeing temperatures that are also going to be in the 70s, clear on up into northernmost northernmost Maine. Rain is what we need, and that's coming. The weather this week will be warm and humid into Tuesday. Our hot temperatures for tomorrow are going to be pretty much a repeat performance of today, upper 70s to even some lower 80s to the south. Might be a little bit more in the way of sun coming out tomorrow, and there could also be a scattered shower or two. Starting on Tuesday, this is when we begin to see the next weather front approaching and the deep trough that's going to be swinging into from the west. And that's finally going to bring a much needed soaking rain to the northeast, where we have extreme drought conditions in southern New England. So temperatures again for tomorrow about the same as today. Tuesday will be mostly in the 70s. And then starting on Wednesday, as this weather front slowly pushes through and we get into some of the cooler air behind it, it'll be upper 60s and low 70s on Wednesday, and then until further notice after that, temperatures from Thursday and beyond will probably top out in the 60s, and we'll start to see nights getting down into the 40s and lower 50s. Looks like we're going to be going into a stretch of below average temperatures later this week, and probably continuing through much, if not all, of next week. Rain is what we're looking for, and you should be encouraged if you're waiting for some rain. The weather prediction folks are very bullish with rainfall over the next 7 days. Take a look at this. We're talking about several inches of rain from coastal Georgia all the way up north through New England. And again, it's particularly important in New England where we have these ultra dry conditions. And this is all going to start up really later Tuesday night into Wednesday, and I think you could make a case that we could still be dealing with this Wednesday night into Thursday, depending on how these waves of low pressure come out. Looking at satellite loops today, not really too much happening. We've got a little bit of low cloudiness that we start the morning with. There's actually a low cloud swirl, a little low that's off the Virginia coast. There's no convection with it or rain, but the low clouds have that arc to it, and it's a little weak low. It's really not going to do very much of anything, but we're starting to see the beginnings of the next weather front, and you see the clouds that are developing across the northern plains. Here's a view from Canada, which I like to look at because you get a good feel for how things are moving in the upper atmosphere that eventually impact our weather. Take a look at the area of clouds looping around in central Canada, right in through this area here. This is our trough that's going to be dropping in to the eastern part of the United States, and it's going to create a rather strong south-southwest flow up the eastern seaboard. Good thing we don't have any tropical storms around, because if we did, it would be a problem here with this type of upper air pattern. Radars are fairly quiet in the northeast and mid-Atlantic states. I would suspect that for the most part that will be the case today and tomorrow. They should be quiet, other than you get maybe a scattered, isolated shower that pops up. Seals of rain across parts of Nebraska into Iowa, and then back through parts of South Dakota and into Wyoming. Again, that's that upper trough, and you see that little curl that's up in North Dakota. That's the body of the trough coming in into the United States, and eventually is going to be problematic. High pressure is sitting along the eastern seaboard here. And off the East Coast, it really isn't going to be moving very much. It has to wait for these these fronts that that are swinging through the Great Lakes and northern plains to swing eastward. There's that little weak low that's off the Virginia coast. So it's pretty much wash, rinse, repeat when it comes to our weather until we get to Tuesday. So take a look at the upper air and how dynamic it is with what's happening. And the big change here in the longer term is the fact that we're going from this sort of westerly or northwest flow in the upper atmosphere with weak systems that are moving along. We're changing that now to a deep trough that's going to be diving into the eastern part of the U.S. This is today, and then moving forward. And I'm using the NAM model here. Moving forward, you can see how the trough starts to swing east. A strong shortwave dives down into Missouri and into the Gulf states, and eventually that lifts up the East Coast during the day on Wednesday, and this is going to be our rainmaker. So if you follow this on the surface, and I'm going to switch here now just to show you the GFS model, starting with today, and of course, you see those very widely scattered showers that the model pops up as we go in through Monday and Tuesday. For much of the area, it's just going to be dry, but we start to see an expanding area of rain in the Carolinas Tuesday morning, and then another area of showers and maybe even a few thunderstorms out to the west coming out of the Ohio Valley. It pulls that rain northward by Tuesday afternoon. It's running up the coast. A second surge comes up later Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, and then possibly a third surge for Wednesday night into Thursday morning. We'll have to wait for that last low to move along, and after that, weather conditions should improve. Beyond that, going into next weekend, a little bit of uncertainty because we have yet another shortwave trough that'll be moving through with a weather front on Friday with perhaps a few showers. And then hopefully by the time we get to the weekend, weather conditions will be relatively calm. But we're definitely going into a pattern that is going to favor much more rain than we've seen in the last couple of weeks, which has been next to nothing. Many areas are going on 16, 17 days in a row without seeing a drop of rain. And again, these drought conditions that we have, especially in parts of New England, there's not much in terms of dry conditions south of, say, New York City down into the mid-Atlantic states. Rainfalls have been relatively normal, and the summer has been relatively wet, so the ground conditions are a lot better. But in New England, it's been especially acute. The lack of rainfall has been a problem through much of the summer, and now, of course, we're seeing, as I said, areas of extreme drought being indicated in parts of southeastern New England. So fingers crossed that that gets alleviated to some degree with the rains that are coming up. The Joe and Joe Weather Show today at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We're hoping to have some guests on the show. Not sure yet, but I got my fingers crossed that a few of them will show up. And we'll be updating our weather later today, of course, on my weather platform on Patreon, which is patreon.com/meteorologist Joe Cioffi. Great way to support all the things that I'm doing. Subscriptions, if you take an annual subscription for $2 a month, you get 2 months free. And there are higher tiers available for those of you who need extra weather help. And a big welcome to those of you who are listening to this as a podcast. Hope you're enjoying it, and do check out the Joe and Joe Weather Show later, because that will also be up as a podcast. And you can find us on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere that podcasts call their home. Have a great day, everybody. We will see you later.